departure ground Bonanza 7226 kilos at North Hangars with Charlie. I was wondering if we get some flight following to Fullerton. That's Foxtrot, Uniform Lima.
Bonanza 7226 kilo, maintain VFR, departure frequency Cascade 124.3, 243, squawk 3501. Bonanza 7226 kilo, runway 32, cleared for takeoff, or now fly the runway heading.
Okay, cleared for takeoff, 32, runway heading 7226 kilo.
November 4700 Sierra, runway 32, clear to land.
Clear to land, 3200 Sierra.
Navajo 59848, meant for ground, runway 32, takes via Bravo Alpha. November 848, roger, say requested altitude.
That sounds better.
In the summer of 1999, I got my pilot's license. I was working full-time as a plastic surgeon. I'd spend every morning about 5:30 to 6:30 flying 1 hour a day, and over a 2 months period I managed to accumulate enough hours and pass my pilot's license. Since then I've made at least annual trips, sometimes 3 or 4 trips to Fullerton. Having 4 young daughters, it was an excellent way to use my plane but also take advantage of Disneyland. I estimate that since that time, over the last 24 years, I've probably made 30 to 40 trips into Fullerton. So this video, we will review 20 plus years of experience of flying into Disneyland and cover the 9.5 essential tips for pilots. We'll talk about number 1, when to go, the best time to go of the year, the Disneyland app, which is an absolute essential, where to eat, where to stay, which airport to land at. We'll talk about Genie Plus and the Lightning Lane class. We'll cover a day in California Adventure Park. We'll cover a day at the Magic Kingdom. And 9, we'll talk about where to get an adult beverage. And finally, the last point will be the departure from the Los Angeles class Bravo airspace. So when is the best time to go to Disneyland? First of all, I'd recommend that you buy the unofficial guide to Disneyland, written by Seth Kuberski and Bob Selinger. This is the 22 edition. They come out with one pretty much every year. It's an absolute essential guide. It covers everything and certainly worth every penny. The price you pay can save you hours of frustration and hundreds of dollars. There's a link below where you can get it on Amazon, but again, highly recommend. It is without a doubt the best guidebook concerning Disney. As far as the weather is concerned, Los Angeles is typically good weather year-round for flying. However, in June, it's also known as June gloom. It can be quite foggy in the mornings, and I found almost any time I've gone down there that fog is pretty typical, or low clouds, which are about 1,200 feet. This usually burns off by 11, 12 o'clock. Occasional times I've had to file IFR to get out of there. Again, that's not a big issue. But year-round, LA has excellent weather. You want to avoid the busiest times of year. June through the end of August is going to be the absolute busiest. That's summer break. Families are going to be taking their kids there. It is a madhouse. So I would definitely avoid summertime. The next busiest time is also December 25th through January 1st. Again, huge vacation time. Families bring their hordes down there. And any other holidays are going to be busy also. That being said, the quietest times to go, the number 1 time I believe would be late August, believe it or not, through September. Second, after Thanksgiving and up to the week before Christmas break. We've taken a week off and gone the week before Christmas break, and there was absolutely nobody there. Third, January 8th to early March, and finally the week following Easter through Memorial Day. Second, the Disneyland app is a lifesaver. It has everything you need on it. It's going to give you wait times. You can buy your tickets on there. You're going to have to link them. It has the Genie Plus add-on, which allows you to buy lightning lane passes, which used to be the old Fast Pass. It allows you to download unlimited photographs for free. So a lot of the rides will take a picture. You get to have that picture and download it onto your phone. Also, you'll see cast members with cameras. If you want a picture, they'll take one for you, and it's yours, no cost. The app will show you wait times for each of the rides, so you can kind of plan your day, see which rides are not too busy. When buying a ticket, it's really quite easy. You scroll down to the bottom right, there's 3 bars on the app. Click, and the first option at the top left is going to be buying tickets. Click on that and it will take you through the process of purchasing tickets and give you the prices. Now there's a number of options. For a weekend, we typically go down on a Thursday, spend Friday, Saturday there in the parks, and return home on Sunday. I believe that it's the best value for the money to buy a 2-day park ticket, but it's 1 park per day. You can, for another $60-80 per person per day, get a park hopper, which allows you to run back and forth between parks. But I think if you plan your days well, just spend 1 day in California Adventure and then 1 day in Disneyland. That way you can save quite a bit of money. So after purchasing your tickets, you go to the turnstile, bring up your Disneyland app. The turnstile host will scan your ticket and give you a paper ticket. Then take your picture so that they know that that is you anytime you come through the park. The next step after buying your tickets is going to be reserving your days. Ever since the pandemic, Disneyland has required that you make a reservation to attend the park. We've never had a problem making a reservation, but it's something you have to do. And this is again done through the app. So once you've purchased your tickets, again, go down to the bottom right, click Schedule Park Visit, and it'll take you through the process of which days you want to schedule. If you don't have an account with Disneyland.com, you'll have to create one. This is where you put in your credit card information, allows you to buy your tickets. Genie Plus, also purchase items at the stores, and you can even charge your meals through the app. I would definitely get the Genie Plus again, which is cost between $25 to $30 per day per person. We've already talked about the advantages, but the biggest being the Lightning Lane Pass. It allows you to get basically to the front of the line on the busiest rides. You basically set up, it gives you a time to return, and within that window you have a 5 to 10 minute wait, as opposed to sometimes an hour and a half waits for some of the busiest rides. So number 3, where to eat. This is going to be, for me, the most exciting part of going to Disneyland at this point. There are a number of new restaurants coming to downtown Disney, 2 of which are being created by Michelin star chefs. And first of all, the reigning king at Disneyland right now is Napa Rose. It's known for its award-winning wine list, exemplary service, top-notch dining. The food is actually quite amazing. It is a fine dining restaurant, as fine as you'll find anywhere. It has both prix fixe dinners, but also a la carte. It is the crown jewel, the culinary crown jewel of the hotels of Disneyland Resort. We recommend allowing enough time, probably 2 hours, to enjoy a full meal. It's an elegant restaurant, laid back. The service is impeccable. The food's impeccable. and I would highly recommend it. You'll probably need to get on, make a reservation as soon as they open up. I believe it's 30 days currently, but yeah, you want to get a reservation. If you don't get one as soon as they open up, you may not be able to get in there. The chef at Napa Rose is Andrew Sutton. Really tailors his food to include local ingredients. Every dish has been stunning. Another option, mainly for lunch at the Grand Californian, is the GCH Craftsman Bar. We typically go there for lunch. It's set right next to Napa Rose, but also close to the adult pool. It's very laid back. The nicest thing about that is it's so quiet. And really the noise and crowds can get to you after a while, and then just going to this little oasis, which has excellent bar food, excellent cocktails, excellent wine list. It just takes down that whole, takes it down a notch and allows you to relax. They have classic brunch cocktails and specialty drinks, such as the Grand Candied Orange Coffee, made with Grand Mariner, Kahlua, and brandy. The lunch menu boasts a gourmet mix of bites, including artisanal pizzas, tasty carnitas, quesadillas, shareable nachos, and more. Again, any of these places are going to require, or you should get a reservation, but typically the Craftsman Bar is not that difficult to get, but I would get one as soon as you know when you're going to go. What I'm most excited about are two new restaurants coming in 2024. First is Din Tai Fung, an international award-winning family-owned restaurant famous for its soup dumplings, and they are handcrafted on site. Mr. Bing Yi Yang immigrated to Taiwan and opened a shop selling cooking oil. He and his wife were also making dumplings, which actually became more popular. They opened a restaurant, phased out his oil business, and now he is an international restaurateur with a lot of restaurants in Europe, Asia, and the United States. The restaurant has also been named one of the world's top 10 gourmet restaurants by the New York Times, and has received Michelin stars in its Hong Kong and London locations. The other equally exciting new restaurant is going to be Paseo and Centrico Bar. These are going to take the place of Catal and Uva Bar in downtown Disney. Both Paseo and Centrico will be created by Chef Carlos Gaitan, the first Michelin star awarded chef born in Mexico. He currently owns Chicago's renowned Zuko restaurant, which has a Michelin star. When he was 20, he left Mexico for Chicago and started working at a hotel as a hotel dishwasher. Eventually, he worked his way up working in restaurants and then opened Mexique, a French-Mexican restaurant. From there, he went on to become the first Mexican chef to receive a Michelin star in 2013 and 2014. Now he seeks to present the best of Mexico through his own vision. Paseo will be more than a restaurant side of this journey of downtown Disney, and the bar side will be Centrico, and are meant to offer guests a multi-sensory journey to the heart of Chef Gaitan's homeland. Known for their appetizers like guacamole, a mushroom cazuela, and ceviche, entrees like barbacoa lamb, a burger, carne asada, and more, and sides including corn esquites. Thus far, the date has not been announced, but Paseo website notes that it is coming in 2024. So where to stay? Our recommendations for staying in Disney. If you can afford it, the Grand Californian is the crown jewel of the area. It's going to have the best service, the best amenities, and you get into the park an hour early. It has a private pool for adults only, which is also excellent. But again, you're going to pay four-season prices to stay there. We typically stay across the street, right close to the entrance of Disney, either at Fairfield Inn or one of the other hotels. Home to Suites is a little bit further up the road, And the Hyatt House at Anaheim Resort is at the end of the block. It's a little bit longer walk, but it's going to give you the highest end hotel in that area that you can walk to the park. So getting to Disneyland, we've flown into multiple airports. And again, we've probably flown into the area 30 to 40 times. My preference is Fullerton. It's a small Class Delta airport. It lies beneath the Bravo airspace. Coming from the north, you fly over the hills just north of Pasadena. We fly just west of John Wayne. Just east of John Wayne, directly towards El Monte. It's a Class Delta airspace too that goes up to 2,700 feet. The bottom of the Class Bravo airspace about 4,000 feet. So we fly between those two airspaces and directly into Fullerton.
A little higher.
Okay, number 2 behind the Cessna 7226 kilo.
Flight check 79, contact SoCal departure 125.35, good day.
2535, take care, flight check 79.
Running 05 Lima, make straight in runway 24. Traffic a mile northwest to you actually is a, looks like an air coupe. Let me know if you see him.
05 Lima, I'll be looking for the coupe. Straight in for 24, 05 Lima.
Then the 26 kilo, Cessna's off your right on final.
We have in sight 7226 kilo, thank you.
That's 26 kilo, follow the Cessna, wind 210 runway 24, clear to land.
Clear to land behind the Cessna 24, 7226 kilo.
99657, Fullerton Tower, you inbound?
Inbound, have Papa.
Coupe 657, best speed, continue, make straight in, runway 24, port the airport, inside, I got 3 aircraft following you.
Straight in for 24, and I'll be looking for 507 Lima.
That, port the airport in sight and verify pop air, Coupe 657.
I have the runway in sight, and still looking for traffic for 657.
Roman 05 Lima, the air coupe in sight, ahead to your right.
05 Lima, negative on the air coupe.
Roman 05 Lima, 12 to 1 o'clock, a half a mile. If you don't have them in sight, you're the same altitude, remain outside the Delta airspace.
05 Lima, roger.
Aircraft 657, best speed again. Traffic's trying to find you behind you. Wind 210 at 9er, wind 24 clear to land.
Land for runway 24 for 657.
Aircraft 657, I'm guessing you heard the most important part. Best speed to the airport, please.
Best speed to the airport for 657.
Thank you. Roman 05 Lima, suggest you start slowing and make a left 180 for straight in runway 24. And again, you're going to have to follow the air coupe, be slow. If you don't slow down, you'll go around, report remaining to the right of the runway, departing caution motor wash, wind 2008.
All right, 26 kilo, and we're clear to land, correct?
That's 26 kilo, 24, clear to land.
26 kilo, thank you.
From 05 Lima, traffic's 2.5 miles ahead, report the airport in sight.
05 Lima, looking for traffic. We will report the airport.
Cessna 330 Sierra, Fullerton Tower, turn right, make straight in runway 24, Port of Grumman, mile after head in sight, and verify information, Papa.
Turn right, information on Papa, Kelly, 55330.
And 330, Port the Grumman, 2 miles northwest, you on final, same altitude, in sight, and plan to follow.
Report, Kelly, 330.
Look far 2, start your left turn, thanks.
Left over 526.
That's Sikorsky 1 Mike Hotel, Fullerton Tower. We're about 4 miles to the west, transitioning eastbound 145.
Sikorsky 1 Mike Hotel, you're in the Delta, don't do that again. Traffic at the departure is a fire helicopter, starting a left turn and lower. Say your altitude, bulletin altimeter is 2997.
1.5.
With your call sign, Sikorsky 1 Mike Hotel. Remain outside the Delta airspace.
We typically use a flight following. It can be quite busy. Sometimes they'll cut you loose early, but with the ADS-B now, it certainly is a lot safer and easy to get into Fullerton. The fuel prices are decent there. Typically, we land on runway 24. They have one runway. It is 0624. The winds almost always favor 24. The runway itself is about 3,100 feet by 75 feet. Plenty of length for a single engine aircraft. The tower and FBO lay to the south. So once exiting to the left, you're right there at the FBO. They have self-service. Parking at General Aviation is free if you fill up. However, they're so busy now that you might want to make a reservation for parking there. It's not a big deal if you don't. There's transient parking in front of the tower, which is right next to general aviation, for which I believe is about $15 a night. Again, it's 6 miles from the park, so it's a 10-minute drive. We typically call an Uber once we've filled up and squared away the airplane, and a 10-minute drive to our hotel. Number 6, Genie Plus. We've already really kind of mentioned how important that is. It's $25 per ticket per person. Is worth every penny. Don't skimp on this one. You'll be so happy that you got it just because of the lightning lane passes. You can buy it when you buy your tickets. Typically we buy it when we arrive in the park. You can't get it the day of until you are actually in the park. And if you have any trouble downloading it, there are cast members everywhere that you can talk to, and they'll help you download the Genie Plus add-on. Number 7, so a day in California Adventure Park. I would recommend arriving at least 40 minutes prior to the gates open. Make sure that you've already purchased your Genie Plus either the day prior, or once through the gates. After they've scanned your ticket, that's when you can purchase Genie Plus. As soon as the gates open, I would head over to Soarin'. This is absolutely one of my favorite rides and very popular among pilots because it's actually like riding in a hang glider. The ride involves sitting in hang glider-like seats. They rise up off the ground and then into a 360-degree screen. It's so lifelike. You really feel like you're flying through the clouds and over multiple different destinations. It has absolutely stunning videography. Once done with Soarin', I would recommend going to the Genie Plus app on your phone and getting a reservation to go on Radiator Springs. The app, it will give you a window in which to return. This is probably the busiest ride in the park. While waiting for your lightning lane pass to Radiator Springs, I would head over to Toy Story Mania, which should also not be too long of a wait by then. This is an arcade type game in which you score points by shooting rings or darts at targets as you travel through a maze of different scenarios. You are in competition with other riders in your car. Next, head over to Radiator Springs. This is probably the most popular ride in California Adventure Park. Once through the turnstile, you're eligible to get another lightning pass. I would recommend reserving a time for Guardians of the Galaxy. This is another very popular ride and hard to get on. The ride is basically a recreation of the movies Cars. It involves a slow ride through the American Southwest and then to the town of Radiator Springs. The ride ends with a high-speed race over the hills and curves that is quite exhilarating. It's almost like a roller coaster. You'll be racing another car beside you, which makes it even more fun. While waiting for Guardians of the Galaxy, I would then head over to The Little Mermaid or Monsters, Inc. The Little Mermaid ride is a delightful ride with the excellent animatronics reliving the movie. It's almost never busy and certainly worth the effort to see. If time permits, I would also see Monsters Incorporated before your lightning lane pass for Guardians becomes available. Monsters Inc. also has a lightning lane pass, so if it is busy, you can wait and get another pass for that also. Monsters Inc. is another very delightful ride. It takes you through the movie set of Monsters. You ride in a taxi and relive the movie with very fun animatronics. Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the most popular rides again in California Adventure. It used to be called Hollywood Tower of Terror. It involves riding up in an elevator that holds about 15 to 20 people and then suddenly drops 130 feet multiple times. If you get queasy with sudden drops, you might want to avoid this ride. Other rides to consider are Grizzly Run, which almost always guarantees to soak the riders wet. It's good to do on a hot summer day when temperatures are in the 80s and 90s. This will allow you to dry off quickly. If not, you can actually purchase a disposable poncho at the store right next to the ride entrance. And I would recommend this if you do not like to walk around wet for half an hour after the ride. Incredicoaster is a popular roller coaster, one of the better ones in the country with a number of loops. They also have a lightning pass for that ride. For lunch, I would head over to the Grand Californian Craftsman's Bar, which we already talked about. I would make sure that you make reservations at least a month before arriving at the park. Most of what you want to see can be accomplished by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We typically take the afternoon off and relax by the pool or head to downtown Disney and do some shopping and get a cocktail. So lastly, we're going to talk about a day at Disneyland. I would show up again at least 30 to 40 minutes before the park opens. Once through the gates, you will be held back by ropes, limiting access to each of the different kingdoms. Main Street would be typically open. This again is when you purchase the Genie Plus once through the turnstiles. And again, it's important to get this as it'll allow you lightning lane entrances. I would recommend first heading over to Indiana Jones, as this is one of the most sought after rides. However, if you show up as soon as the gates open, you can usually jump right on. Indiana Jones is a fast-moving ride in a 12-person Jeep through the Temple of Doom. It can be quite jerky, but the ride itself is fun and exciting. You'll pass across a collapsing bridge, attacking snakes, skulls, poisonous darts, and a rolling boulder. After this ride, I would check the lightning passes and see about getting a reservation for Space Mountain. Once acquired, head over to the Haunted Mansion. This is one of Disney's first and most iconic rides. It involves riding through the mansion in a 2 to 3 person cart. They have upgraded it with new special effects and including 3D animations. From there, I would head over to Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. As long as there is less than a 30-minute wait, typically this early, you can get on right away. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is a roller coaster. Passengers in a railroad ride through mountains, explosions, and the Old West. It's not super aggressive, so if you have trouble with motion sickness, this is one of the very tolerable roller coasters in the park. From there, I would head over to Space Mountain and use your Lightning Pass. As soon as you're checked into Space Mountain, you might check and see where else you want to go with the Lightning Pass. Other options for Lightning Passes include Buzz Lightyear or the Millennium Falcon over in Star Wars Land. At this point, you may want to think about doing some of the other most popular rides, including Peter Pan. This typically is extremely busy, always a 30-40 minute wait, but even though it's a 5-minute ride, it's something that I think everybody should do. Through that ride, you're floating on a pirate ship. It takes you through London, Neverland, all the scenes of Peter Pan. It's been updated since the original, but still maintains that same sequence and is probably the most iconic ride of Disneyland. At this point, we typically head over to Star Wars Land and Olga's Cafe or Bar. This is where you can get some very creative drinks. Alcoholic, which is I think the only place in Disneyland that serves alcoholic drinks. You can make reservations, and I would recommend this at least a few weeks beforehand. You can wait in line, and honestly, it's only taken 20 to 30 minutes to get in just by a standby line. From there, we typically head out to downtown Disney for lunch. As I mentioned earlier, there are a number of brand new restaurants coming to Disneyland, many of which are headed by Michelin star chefs. There's a new cantina, which I am very excited about. It visiting and trying their food and their drinks. For lunch in downtown Disney, I would either go to either Naples for pizza or Tortilla Joe's. If you still have enough energy, you can return to Disneyland, spend some time, a little more time in the Star Wars land. It's just fun to walk around, see the recreation of the Millennium Falcon, and it really does feel like you're on a movie set. Another favorite ride is just to jump on the train at downtown Disney and circumnavigate the whole park. It takes you through every land, and the ride itself has its own animatronics, which really does make it a fun ride, and it's relaxing and a good way to spend a half hour, 40 minutes. It's probably the best bang for the buck. On the train, you also end up riding through some other rides along the way, including the Grand Canyon and Prehistoric Earth. One last recommendation to take later in the day, and a ride that does have Lightning Pass, is Splash Mountain. It's typically very busy in the afternoon just because, again, you're probably going to get wet on this ride, so you want to go when it's a little bit warmer and you can dry out quick. They are redoing the ride currently. It was based on the movie Song of the South, so it'll be totally updated later this year. It's basically a log flume ride that takes you through some of the very benign water features and animatronics before dropping you down a long, steep flume, splashing into a huge lake of water at the end. Another fun afternoon ride would be the motor cars, which are basically go-karts on a rail, so you can't get too crazy with them. This is great for little kids, not so much for adults, but kids love to sit there and believe that they're driving the car. Finding Nemo is the old submarine ride. It's a little bit confined, so if you have any type of claustrophobia, I wouldn't recommend it. It's still a great ride, takes you underwater, takes you through the ocean. It can be quite hot at times. By mid-afternoon, Disneyland is so crowded, to me it's unbearable. It's usually quite hot, and I've spent by that time, and it's a great time for a libation in downtown Disney before dinner. I'm usually done by 2 o'clock. So finally, adult beverages. Where to find a good adult beverage? It's not difficult in California Adventure Park. There are a number of places. Wine is served at the Mendocino Terrace. Carthay Circle Lounge has mixed drinks, as does the Cove Bar. Disneyland itself has a couple of places that serve drinks, as mentioned previously. Olga's is our favorite at Galaxy's Edge Cantina, as does the Blue Bayou Restaurant. The best libations are found in downtown Disney. Most of the restaurants serve drinks including Tortilla Joe's, which have excellent margaritas, Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen, and Naples. Hit the Grand Californian if you can for the Hearthstone Lounge, which has excellent cocktails, and you can sit out in the patio away from all the crowds. You might even just be by yourself for a very quiet afternoon respite without all the noise and people surrounding you. When departing Fullerton is really quite easy. You can use flight following. However, when requesting flight following, they have you vectored to the south and west, which is the opposite direction of typically which I am heading. So I don't use flight following when departing Fullerton any longer. Again, the active runway is almost always typically runway 24. After departing, I turn almost immediately to the north, remain below the class Bravo airspace, and gradually climb to clear the mountains to the north. Using ADS-B, I found that it's quite easy to avoid any kind of traffic. When filing IFR, we typically use the Anaheim 1 departure. With the Ventura transition, it takes you directly over LAX and drops you off northwest of the Bravo airspace, and then pretty much direct from there we head to Medford. Flying to Disneyland is a great way to spend a weekend with your kids and your significant other. If you found this video helpful, Please subscribe and any comments below. I would love to hear from you. And laughter is timeless, imagination has no age, and dreams are forever. Walt Disney.